Hello and welcome to another Avid Visions video. In today's video, we will be reviewing the Canon 24mm f1.4 Mark II lens. Now, before I go into detail about how it performs, I just want to give you a quick look around this lens and tell you about its physical characteristics. So, as I slowly show off this lens, I'm going to describe stuff about it. So first thing I want to note is that it's an all-metal body, and it feels rock solid. Like, this thing is built like a tank. Along with the metal body, it's also weather sealed. So here, as I take off the rear lens cap, you can see the metal mount and the rubber sealing here. Now that is something that's unique to the Mark II version of this lens. The Mark I version was not weather sealed. Okay. Now here's the front element. It may look a little dirty in the video if you can even see it, but it's just my UV filter that is not on the front element itself. So, what else is there to say about this lens? Its focusing is full-time manual override. So regardless if you have it in AF or MF mode, you can always adjust the focusing. And the focusing ring feels very smooth and dampened, so you do have like precise control over your focusing, which feels very, very nice. It's a USM motor, meaning it's going to be silent. All USM motors usually perform well. The focusing is very quick. Now, something I do want to say about this lens is that when this lens first came out, it was very inconsistent. The build quality, or the quality control, wasn't that great, and so some versions of this lens came out with defective focusing. That is not the case anymore. Canon has fixed the problem, so if you go on Amazon and read reviews about poor focusing or misfocusing from this lens, it doesn't happen anymore. They did fix it. And you can actually check the date code on the back. This is a UZ, so it's pretty recent. Besides that, it weighs 1.5 pounds, which is pretty heavy for such a small lens, and while it may not sound like a lot, when you add it in with the rest of your lens collection, whatever that may be, it does tend to be a little much. I took this on a backpacking trip recently, and it's the only lens I brought because I didn't want to carry any more weight than this. This is pretty much the limit, 1.5 pounds, and you have your camera gear as well, including your camera, of course. Moving on from the lens body itself, I just want to talk about how it performs, and because I live in boring suburbia, I can't go out and take pictures of anything interesting, so I'm just going to voice over some pictures that I took this summer. Something I did forget to mention, however, is that, you know, as do all L lenses from Canon, it comes with this lens hood, so let me put that on. This is what it looks like with the lens hood. Okay. It also comes with this pouch. Again, that's something that's unique towards L lenses. It's real leather, I think, anyway. It's made in China. It's not the most protective thing. The bottom here does have a little padding, so when you place it down on a surface, you know, you don't have to worry too much about it damaging your lens. But overall, I would just consider this sort of like a dust protector. You just put your lens in when you're not using it for long periods of time to keep dust off of it. But I can't really imagine any more uses for this bag besides that. This is the box that it comes in, pretty big box. Again, you just have some foam padding, mainly. It comes with the instruction, the warranty. I'm not sure if it comes with a disc. It does come with some software here, Canon's classic EF lens line software. It might be software, it's probably just a manual actually. I think the software only comes with the camera, when you buy Canon cameras. I'm going to put that away, and now I'll actually move on to show you some example pictures. Alright, so seeing how the main selling appeal of this lens is its very wide aperture, I felt it only fitting to start with a landscape that was taken at nighttime with an aperture of 1.4. The reason I put this picture in here as the first example was because I want to go over the vignetting on this lens. Now this picture is completely unedited. I'll show you later what I decided to do with this picture, but for now just look at the corners of the photograph. I didn't touch this picture up at all, and you'll notice that the vignetting, although you can sort of see it, it's actually not that bad. For an aperture of 1.4 on such a wide-angled lens, you'd expect heavy vignetting, but as you can see in this picture, that's not the case. Now, I'm not saying it's not existent in certain conditions. It's more apparent than at nighttime, but it's definitely something you could deal with. And again, it's really easily fixed in Photoshop. So this is the first example picture. Now let's move on to the next example picture. Okay, so this next picture is an example of the lens's sharpness at really any aperture. So this was taken at f22 because I wanted to take a relatively long exposure to try and blur out some of this water that's falling in the waterfall. But I think it's a great example to show you how sharp this lens is at any aperture, really. Now, peak sharpness is at f4 to f of 8, but even at f1.4, whatever you focus on is going to be very, very sharp. The only reason Emily here, as she's showing up, isn't as sharp is because she had to try and stay still for the duration of this photograph. But that's just the next thing I wanted to go over about this lens is that unlike the Mark I version, this lens is very, very sharp at wide open and even stepped all the way down. Alright, so not that you'll care if you have a 5D Mark III, but now I want to talk about the chromatic aberration on this lens. There is a little bit of chromatic aberration at wide open and even step down all the way to 2.8, but you can only really see it in the out of focus bits of your photograph. So if you're taking portraits at a wedding of large groups of people, you might see some minor amounts of chromatic aberration. Another thing I want to mention is that all of these example pictures that I've been taking and showing you have been taken on the crop censored 60D. So if you use it on a full frame, you can probably expect a little bit more vignetting and a slightly more distortion, but it's still nothing that can't be fixed in Photoshop. Alright, so that's about everything I wanted to say about this lens. I'm just going to show you really quickly two more pictures that I took of the Milky Way during our backpacking trip and our visit to Lake Placid, New York. Just to show you this lens's capabilities at nighttime with f1.4. I did do a time-lapse video, a collaboration video actually, with Connor of our trip to Lake Placid, which I'll give you a link to in an annotation somewhere over this picture as you're viewing it. Alright, so would I recommend this lens to someone interested in serious landscape photography or even astrophotography? It depends really how much money you want to spend on your lenses. It's a $1,600 lens, so it doesn't come cheap, but you really do pay for a lot of quality. Whether it's the build quality, the all-metal body with the weather sealing, or the great optical glass in it that takes really sharp pictures, or whether you're just paying for the wide aperture. If you think it's worth it, I'd definitely go for it, but Connor earlier also reviewed an alternative to this lens. It was the Sigma 20mm f1.8, which is a great alternative for roughly, or it's actually less than half the price. If you want to check out that review, I'll put another annotation in the video, but I'm Roman. Thanks for watching another Advisions video, and I'll see you next time.